It's that time to thank our sponsors. We'd like to thank the Fat Boy app. It's the only locally owned mom and pop restaurant locator. Matter of fact, it's the only mom and pop restaurant locator. It's available in the App Store for iOS or Android. We got to thank Stephen Watson over at Watson's Transmissions. Listen, if your transmission ain't pulling its load or shifting gears like it's supposed to do, get a hold of Stephen Watson. Listen, Stephen is the transmission guru. He's the king. He's the best around. That's why I call him the king. So get a hold of Stephen Watson. Josh Parrish at BHG Realty. Well, listen, this guy's out there slinging some properties, residential or commercial, whether it's your first time buying or you're a seasoned purchaser. Listen, he'll take care of you. Matter of fact, he just broke the Madisonville sales record for over $20 million in 2025. So go check out Josh Parrish at BHG Realty. Got to thank Billy over at Warwick County Tire. He's over there slinging some rubber, putting some new shoes on your car, your truck, your dump truck, heavy equipment, you name it, small brake work. Hey, go to Boonville, old Boone, Vegas, and check out Billy. Shane Hackney at Hackney Door Company over there in Marion, Kentucky. Listen, if you got doors that squeak, you got doors that creak, you got doors that just won't open, it's time to get a hold of Shane. Shane can take care of you for any, there's no job too small. I promise you that. He's a great guy, good quality work from a good quality man. Ironstein Coffee, located in Morganfield, Kentucky. They're up there roasting those coffee beans daily. Listen, they've added some new venue. They've got some entertainment going on up there in Morganfield. Not only do they do coffee, they got a little bit of entertainment now. So you want to go check out all of their coffee lineups. That's Ironstein Coffee. They're in Morganfield on Main Street. Jen's General Store there in Morganfield. It's on the corner of Court Street and Main. Go up there. Go ahead and get you a bologna sandwich and an L8. Step back in time to your childhood. They got those old candies and everything you can think of. It's such a fantastic place to go, and we love Jen's and we love their support. Jake Wolf at Wolf's Customs there in Waverly, Kentucky. Hey, he'll get you taken care of, whether you need brake work, you need small engine repairs, you need tires, oil changes. Jake and his crew there at Wolf's Customs in Waverly, they're going to get you taken care of. Now, we're going to be adding some new sponsors this year. We're fortunate to kind of take on a few more. And as soon as we get all that stuff lined up, we're going to be sharing those as well. So, with that being said, let's get to the podcast. So, welcome to Front Porch America. Today, I'm sitting here with a firefighter turned tech guru. Um, you've done a lot of things in the last few years that I've seen. I follow you on Facebook, and I got really curious about what you were doing on the app stuff, and we'll get into that. But first, I want to give you a little backstory. I'm sitting here with Brad Mattingly. Brad's from originally from Henderson, correct?
Correct.
So, if you will, just kind of started, growing up in Henderson, and just kind of lead into where you're at today.
Yeah, yeah. Born and raised in Henderson. Um, been there my whole life. Married for almost 23 years now. Have one son. We still live in Henderson. Um, Ended up joining the fire department around 2009, and it took me 3 attempts actually to get on at the fire department. I tried the first time at 18. Just young, no experience. They asked about trying to climb up a 100-foot ladder, and I was like, I don't know if I can climb up a 100-foot
Yeah.
ladder.
You say 100 foot, and people are like, "Yeah, it's not that."
Yeah,
But
that's not
once
bad.
you're up there, like
Yeah.
once you see it in person, see that ladder extended out, that's a long way up there.
Gosh, yeah, yeah.
And what is it? How wide is that ladder? Like 40 something inches,
Yeah,
maybe?
yeah. I
I
mean,
don't know.
it gets narrow as because it has to extend.
Sure.
Every extension is a little bit smaller because it has to work that way, and you just don't really. There's nothing to catch you. I mean, you're the safety basically,
Yeah.
and that's part of training is actually going up with all your gear, and they used to put us on air, and you'd go until you ran out of air. Um, you just really have to mentally be prepared for that.
Right. Yeah.
Because that mask, as you know, it'll start closing in on you a little bit, and
Yeah. There's nothing more terrifying than being in a fire or just even training, even, and you run out of air and that mask just basically stops
yeah,
working.
yeah,
Yeah. So you tried at 18, didn't work out.
yeah, didn't work out. Tried another time. Um, at the time, it's interesting just to see the progression of the fire service. When the first time I applied, it was probably 250 people, 300 people. I mean, it filled the whole cafeteria
Wow.
at our school, and so you have to score really high because they would rank you by your written score first. Um, I scored high the first time. Second time, I don't think I can't remember, but I don't think I scored in the top 20 or whatever, or I may have made it to the interview. I can't. It's been so long now,
Yeah.
but each time that I applied, that group got smaller and smaller. So that's interesting to look back on. But the third time, I finally nailed the interview. Had enough work experience to kind of rely on to get through the interview process, and yeah, just know. So how I ended up getting into the fire service, I worked at a lumber yard.
Okay.
A lot of people, you know, may not know or know that a lot of firefighters have second jobs.
Or
They
third or
third,
fourth or
fourth, whatever
yeah.
they got to do to
Yeah.
stay.
Yeah,
Uh,
so I came out of the coal mines into the fire service,
yeah,
and making coal mine money compared to fire department
oh
money was,
yeah, completely night and day.
and in some aspects, the fire service is just as dangerous as those coal mines,
Absolutely,
but the pay is so much different.
so much different.
You
Yeah,
went from I had a friend of mine on the other day talking about his addiction, and we worked in the mines together, and $90,000 a year was
yeah,
easy to do as a pin man.
yeah, oh yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there ain't nowhere you ain't
No,
touching
you're
90
not.
in
You're
a fire
nowhere
service,
touching that. Yeah,
not unless you're a high ranked big city kind of
exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
So you know, at the lumberyard, the transition to firefighter, how'd that go, and how that?
Yeah, yeah. So firefighters would come in there because a lot of them construction, and he would start just talking like, "Hey, man, you look like a pretty fit guy." Because I mean, I was carrying drywall and everything,
Right.
roofing at the time, and I was like, he was just telling me, "Hey, we work 24 on, 48 off." So we had some firefighters that would come in there because they did carpentry or whatever on the side. um, they would just talk to me every once in a while and say, "Hey, man, you ought to come check out the fire department. We're always looking for people." And they got to talking about benefits and schedule, and I was like, "Yeah, that sounds really interesting." And I eventually, like I said, ended up getting on. It's it's interesting to look back, kind of full circle now. Um, Whenever I went to college for 1 year, and my whole goal was to go for computer science. My mom was sick at the time, and I ended up dropping out of college. So now, going to the fire service and then coming to back to basically computer science
Right.
is
It's
just
like
kind
a
of a
full
full
circle. Yeah.
circle kind of story. Uh, Whenever I joined the fire service, just it really just opened up my eyes to being service to my community and just how much I enjoyed helping people. And of course, you get addicted to the adrenaline rush
Yeah.
of running into a burning building.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people say it's a thankless career. I've never been much on the, oh man, thank you for your service kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just
yeah,
been weird to me. I
yeah,
work in the ER in Evansville
yeah,
now, and you have patients come in, and it's just, I don't know. I just like to serve the public,
yeah,
right? And
yeah,
and that's what, to me, that's what the first responders world is all about, is
yeah.
serving your community. Now, don't get me wrong, it's nice to be thanked
Yes,
after a while.
yeah.
When you came in, was who was a fire chief then?
At the time, gosh, I can't remember it, but he ended up leaving after like a year of being there, and then it was Danny Freilich after
Okay,
that.
okay,
I can't remember the first Chiefs because
yeah,
it was like 1 year and then he was
just
gone.
kind of gone.
Yeah. Um, but Danny Freilich, he was our training officer at the time, and then he became
Okay,
the chief after that.
okay.
Yeah.
So when you started in the fire service compared to when you left, and we'll get into the reasons why you leave
Yeah.
and that here in just a little bit. But when you started in the fire service, what all has changed?
Yeah. Big difference. So starting out, there was less a demand for the value of the firefighter. So whatever their salary was, there was the less correlation with the work versus the value they're providing, the service they're providing.
Right.
Going into a burning building, that it seemed like it was understood that these guys are risking their life. So now, as our economy has changed, the city is looking and going, okay, we need to get more of our money out of these guys. So we're going to add these duties, these duties. Now, training is their hours are way. Don't get me wrong, training is important.
Absolutely, it's
But
important.
now it's more a requirement that so you tend to see a lot of low quality training versus high quality
That's
training.
something that I noticed. In the fire service and even in EMS and other. I mean, any of the basically, I guess, first responder world, the
Yeah,
trainings,
yeah.
they're never
It,
anything different. They're always the same.
it's
Watch this video; it's the
yeah,
same thing.
yeah,
You know, they put on these trainings. It's the exact
yeah,
same thing
yeah,
over and over and over and over and over.
yeah,
Um, and it's like the only time it really changes is like furniture's made out of something new. So okay, well we got to change our
yeah,
tactics on that
yeah,
because what took 30 minutes to start burning really good now takes three,
yeah,
right? But that's really the only thing I've ever seen, and it's kind of discouraging and disappointing.
yeah,
But I don't know if there's really any way to improve it because you can fires. It's a
yeah,
living,
yeah,
breathing thing,
yeah.
man.
Absolutely.
If people don't believe fire's
Yeah,
alive, then
yeah,
man, wait
yeah.
until you get to fight one
Absolutely,
or you're in one.
absolutely.
Do you think there's anything that can be done to like enhance that training, make that training any better?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it really takes creative people to be able to enhance that. To mimic a fire is almost impossible. You really had to have a some kind of I don't know, fireproof building that you can constantly. And
Just
they
keep
used to
on.
have that like in Owensboro. They kind of had something similar to that, but I don't think they have it as much. But some way to actually be able to simulate a fire. For one, you can't produce the black smoke because of environmental reasons, so
Right.
that makes it tough.
Right. And that's kind of why they stopped doing live
Yeah,
burns for
yeah,
exercises and stuff.
yeah,
I know they would talk about they'd have to go in and strip everything out of it, and it could only be the lumber and
yeah.
like your roofing decking material.
Sure,
You'd have to take the shingles off in this. Well, that takes I mean, it's still good training. Don't
sure,
I mean, it's great
absolutely.
training.
Yeah,
It's a live fire,
yeah,
but it doesn't mimic sheetrock in the
yes,
house, the
yeah,
insulation,
yeah.
the
The
shingle
panic.
roofing.
I mean,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
going through the adrenaline rush of waking up and building up that adrenaline, going to the scene and kind of like, oh man, what do I do? That's hard to mimic.
yeah,
I know I had some really great guys in my career as a firefighter. Shout out to him. Casey Howard is the current training officer. I know he's a really sharp dude. Chris Watson,
Watson. Yeah,
just
he's
a
phenomenal.
beast of a guy. Really creative, really knowledgeable. Scott Foreman was a great
I don't
mentor.
know, man. Scott, I just have to.
he's
No,
just
I
he's
love
just
Scott.
he's just
I
average.
do love Chief Foreman. He was a good
But
dude. He's a good guy.
man, it's just such a hard. You want to build up the muscle memory, right? To do without thinking, and so it is really difficult to do. It's really difficult to get guys motivated to do the mundane repetitions. But it's just like anything else, like playing basketball or whatever. You got to go through the motions to where you're not thinking about it and being able to execute. For one, being able to build a relationship with Rick, me and you going into a fire and knowing
Right,
that Rick knows what's going to happen and without having to constantly, hey, Rick, do this, Rick,
right.
do that.
And that's one thing that I noticed that I know guys that don't like each other, but on a fire scene, you
Yeah,
would never
yeah,
ever know it.
yeah, never
Like,
know it.
and they
Yeah,
wouldn't communicate.
yeah,
They just knew what each other was
yeah.
doing,
And that's
and
the,
they would do it.
yeah, and that's the
Now
beauty.
after the fire, they may bicker and carry on, and,
Yeah,
but during that time, like that's when they would just it's just like a well-oiled machine,
well,
and I can see why the trainings don't change a whole lot. It's like you said, that muscle memory.
yeah,
You learn those trainings, and some things aren't going to change.
yeah,
You can change your tactics, and you can change smooth bore
sure, yeah,
combination.
yeah,
That big battle,
yeah,
but there are some things that's not going to change,
yeah,
right? what is one of the biggest changes you've seen? And we're going to move pretty quick on from the fire to get into some of
Yeah,
your other stuff.
sure.
But what is one of the biggest changes you've seen in the fire service before you left?
As far as tactics wise,
Yeah,
yeah. Really, it just comes down to the equipment, right? Technology is making its way into everything, so they're turning it more into a science now versus just put the wet stuff on
the hot stuff.
the
Yeah,
hot stuff. So you are seeing labs starting to open up, and they're burning stuff in there so that they can come back and say, hey, if you ventilate at this time and it's going to improve your conditions, and you have this amount of time to be able to get to the fire. So it's becoming more of a science versus relying just on the simple tactics. Now, I think you could have a debate of whether that makes it overcomplicated. I think for people, because it is a matter of being able to put the wet stuff on the red stuff,
right.
the hot stuff. So you wonder. I'd be curious to see like if it makes guys really more. Sorry,
No, you're fine.
um, really more better at tactics.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, you're good. Do you think the volunteers, even in career firefighting, you don't see the people stepping up and volunteering anymore? You don't see
Yeah.
people applying as much. Like you
Yeah.
said, when you first applied, there's 250 people.
Yeah.
Now you're lucky to get 10 or 15 sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think
Mm,
people in the communities they live in don't volunteer for these
yeah.
services?
Yeah. I think that's a real problem that people don't realize. Um, I think for one, it goes back to our economy. We're not able to have just a single income family and
Right.
one person working, so it requires time. And I think people are more aware that their time equals it has a value that they want money for, or to be compensated
Right.
for. So it's harder to get people to volunteer. We're more me versus just putting out to the world
Yeah.
and not really expecting anything. So that's one big challenge. Um, as the volunteer service, I haven't been a part of the volunteer circle as much, so I can't really speak. But just from an outsider looking in, um, I think you're missing the camaraderie part. Like, you're not spending 24 hours with a crew or whatever.
Right.
So getting together goes kind of back to the time part
Mhm.
because everybody's so busy.
Well, I
But
mean, even getting together now, it's hard to get people
yes,
together, even
yeah, that's what I'm
families,
saying. Yeah, like
and it's not necessarily the volunteer world, but it's family
yeah,
get-togethers too.
yeah,
It's I noticed like when my grandparents passed away, how our family just kind of stopped getting
yes,
together.
absolutely.
We get together every now and then. I have about two or three little parties here, if you want to call them that, every year. I have like Halloween party. I have a big crawfish
Yeah,
bowl, and
yeah,
but it's not like
no,
Sunday every Sunday going to
yeah,
grandma's.
yeah,
And just I've kind of stepped back from the fire service and focused more on the medical side of things now, and I just watch, and it's they're all struggling, and
yeah,
it's sad that people in the community don't have the time or can't find the time to help these departments
yeah.
out and volunteer.
Well, I think it even from the pressures of work and just life, like we want to separate ourselves a little bit from that,
Yeah,
and you know what I'm saying, kind of have that defuse time where we're just at home because we're constantly running during the week, Monday through Friday,
yeah.
running our kids here and there. Everybody's on sports teams now, and just trying to fill our kids' time and our time, and then it's time Sunday. You're like,
I always thought maybe a lot of the problem was our cell phones,
I think
technology.
that's a
I think before, no, people didn't have anything to do. And of
yeah,
course, like you said, people back several years, 15, 20 years ago, 30
yeah,
years ago, could afford a one income family,
yeah,
right? Now you can't. But even before, back then, the one income family, they didn't have much to do.
Sure.
They didn't have the phones and
Yeah.
the internet taking up their extra time.
Yeah.
Now that's kind of and that plays a
100%.
part in everything. You know,
100%. Yeah.
I'm on it way more than I should be. You know, doing the
Yeah.
podcast stuff and
Yeah.
just trying to do clips and
Yeah.
do this to promote myself. And I'm like, man,
It consumes your
just
time.
it does.
Just doing, like you said, just doing this podcast. So we do a little bit of YouTube here and there, but just planning for doing this show, just doing the editing. Then you
Yeah,
got to post here and there.
yeah.
It
On many platforms,
many
not just
platforms.
one. Now the good thing about podcasting is that there are platforms that help me get it out to all
Sure. Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that now in the beginning I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I was manually going
Oh
here,
yeah.
here, here, and
Yeah.
here. Now I've kind of figured it out some, and I've been doing it for a little over a year, and it's just growing. But so what made you decide to leave the fire department?
So 2020 happened, COVID, just like everybody else. Whenever I was at the fire department at that time, I was our arson investigator and fire inspector. So I was working Monday through Friday. My wife was also um, working. I think she was working 7 days a week at that time. 7 days she would work 1 week on, off, 2 weeks off. Um, so both of our times were really demanding. We just kind of noticed the virtual learning started to creep in, and then it became full on during COVID, and we weren't happy with it. For one, just you could see the poor education that was being
Yeah.
given out, and that's not a shot at any of the teachers or schools. You're just kind of doing what you can, right?
Well, I mean, it's not a shot at them. They have rules and guidelines they have to
Sure.
go by, right?
Yes.
So if they say this is what you're putting out, they
That's
have
what
to put it out.
you're handcuffed.
I know I read some articles shortly after COVID kind of went away on teachers being reprimanded for actually enforcing certain
Sure.
curriculum, and they're
Yeah.
like, oh no. So it almost got to the point to where they were just handing out blank pieces of paper, so
Yeah.
to speak, and just saying, okay, whatever,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
and then there was I read teachers weren't even logging on
Yeah.
time, and
Yeah.
it just got to be a big. It
Yeah.
was almost a joke,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that I can.
So it went a little bit further on top of school. We just didn't have a big circle. My son was in the second grade at the time, so he wasn't really able to be home by himself. And so we just really kind of prayed and talked about it as a family, and made the decision that okay, I'm going to step away from the fire service and I'm going to homeschool him. Big leap, that's
Yeah,
a lot of trust and faith that things are going to work out, because we are going down to that's a big difference in income for both of us. Um, Ended up leaving, and to be honest, I mean, it just really opened up my eyes as far as the comparison of what I could be educating my son on versus what was being given to him at the time. Um, we ended up buying a curriculum for homeschool. You can do, if you're unfamiliar with homeschool, you can kind of build up whatever curriculum you wanted. It was my first go around. I really wasn't sure what I was doing, so we ended up purchasing a faith based curriculum, and man, it really just lowered your stress, because we were doing it 3 4 hours a day. We'd be done by noon. We could travel if we wanted to. We ended up going to Las Vegas, to the Grand Canyon, to see the Grand Canyon versus just talking about it.
right.
We talked about hydraulics. We did foreign language. I mean, this is
Wow.
all in the second. His phonics and reading and writing just went through the roof that whole year. Um, yeah, it just
You think that's because there's more one on one and the style of
yeah. So
curriculum and how
yeah,
it's taught?
it's hard for teachers, right? I mean, they
Yeah,
have 30
yeah,
ADHD kids
yeah,
in a class, and again, it goes back to hey, this is what you're going to teach, and it
right.
can't. We're focused on making sure that we get those tests right and get funding for our
Yeah,
school.
it's those test scores and that funding.
Yeah.
You know.
So you know, it just it's he was able to focus. There was no pressure as far as like, hey, you got homework to do, you got you're on the laptop all the time, because we were able to do just all kinds. I mean, we were just be able to build life skills. He was doing equestrian lessons where he was engaging with horses and taking care of horses at the time. Just well rounded, in my opinion. Versus there were more life skills versus just
Right.
uh, learning stuff,
Just basic
basic stuff.
textbook
Yeah,
stuff. And we're not. I'm not shooting shots at teachers because I
absolutely.
know some.
There's
Like
some amazing
there's some
teachers out there.
teachers out there that if it wasn't for them, I'd probably
Yeah,
went down a
absolutely. Yeah,
completely
yeah,
different path.
yeah.
And there's teachers today that I know that are just out there busting their hump.
Absolutely, 100%.
Um, and care about these kids,
Absolutely.
and they complain about the curriculum, they
Yes.
complain about what they have to
Yeah.
teach and how they have to do it, and that's a whole different podcast we can get into.
Yeah.
Eventually I'm gonna
Yeah.
have some,
Yeah.
I would like to have someone that is been doing homeschooling for a long time on, and maybe some educators that's not afraid to speak out,
Yeah.
which is sad as well. They've got to be careful what they say because
Absolutely. It goes back
it's
to the wrong person.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
we have freedom of speech, but
Yeah.
do we have
It's
freedom of
always so.
speech?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
These companies that you go to work for sometimes are like, you can't say this, that, or this.
Yeah.
So and I get it to an extent, but I don't want people to think that we're bashing teachers because we're not. Because, like I said, there's some teachers out there that I owe everything to
Yeah.
because I would not be where I'm at
Yeah.
today without them.
Yeah.
Just
Some great people
yeah.
to be around. Yeah.
So homeschooling, still in process, still doing that.
So yeah, we did that through second grade, and whenever, so it kind of ties into what I'm doing now. During that time, I had an idea about an app that I wanted to build, and I again had some computer science knowledge, but not really to that extent. Traditional coding is like years of actual learning, and I was like, whew, I don't know if I can learn that this fast to put out an app.
Right.
There are some like coding boot camps that you can pay that are like 16 weeks, but they're thousands of dollars. And I ended up just, I don't remember, searching YouTube or something, just trying to see if there was a way. Ended up coming across a platform that's called a no code platform. Or I don't really like that term, but that's just what they coined it as at the time. It's more like visual programming. So I always tell people it's almost like putting puzzle pieces together. The bulk of the code is there. You're just kind of filling in the blanks and putting
Yeah.
them together. It's much more understandable for a average person such as myself um, to understand. There is still a little bit of technical stuff that you kind of have to wrap your. But if you're strong in like math or solving puzzles, then you'd be able to pick it up pretty fast. So I ended up coming across this guy on YouTube, and I was like, man, this is really cool. So I started playing with it, and ended up joining like a boot camp that they had. I didn't care much for the boot camp. It was, I think, like 8 weeks at the time, and it seemed like the guy just didn't really get in depth. It wasn't like building like
Yeah.
this is what you do first, second, third, and so I ended up in a forum getting in contact with the guy from United Kingdom, and he's like, "Hey, you want to? I'm trying to do a startup." He's like, "Do you want to come join? I'll pay you like $500 a month if I can." I was like, "Yeah, why not?" I wasn't working at the time. I
Right.
was,
Right.
and he was like, "I'm flexible. You just do it whenever you can." So I ended up me, a person from Pakistan, two people from Kenya, and then himself, the guy from United Kingdom, ended up developing this little web application for him, and that's really kind of where it started picking up steam for me. I was like, this is a lot of fun. Like it really kind of taps into my creative side. I was really good at math whenever I was in high school. Um, Ended up doing a little bit of freelancing work and just meeting these people all over the United States, and ended up joining a company in the United States that was hiring full time. So it just really kind of
Just that's crazy.
Just I
Isn't it
kept
crazy how things work?
working
Yeah.
over. I mean, this is over the course of two years maybe. Ended up getting a full time job doing it. So I'm very fortunate, and just I just kept digging in, learning, and just educating myself more and more. I mean, YouTube University is just a.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, you can just learn
There's everything,
anything, you
dude.
know.
There's everything on YouTube.
Um, and just applying myself and just surrounding myself with people that were better than me. And that, I mean, I've done that my whole, like, just back to Scott Foreman, Chris Watson. I mean, I've
Yeah.
always tried to surround myself with people that were better,
Yeah.
or that sharp.
Yeah. Yeah. And those two are like top
Yeah,
notch, man.
yeah.
Just they're some good people. Before we get into the next little part, I want to talk about your new app and stuff too. But I got a little gift for you.
Oh,
Uh,
thank you.
Everybody
Yeah,
gets a gift, you
yeah,
know. So
yeah. That's
a little
awesome.
bit of stuff
Yeah,
from my buddy Frenchie
yeah,
out of Panama City.
yeah,
I'll get you a shirt too. I didn't know you were coming out having your shirt. Um, so Frenchie does the Lids for Kids,
yeah,
the nonprofit, and he sent me some stuff to hand out and some things from the Fat Boy app.
yeah.
So you're building apps. Let's talk about a couple of the apps you've built. And kind of explain what they do because I'm interested in a couple of them myself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so I have several of them, and as I posted on like my social media, some of them are just experimental or just kind of where I have seen friction or deficits. Right, so I think the first one, the one that I originally, it's actually I've kind of scrapped it. I've kind of set it on the shelf. It's funny enough. The first one was Forever With You, and so that's the first one I became interested in. That's the original that kind of got me into software development. And it is basically about preserving like our memories of our loved ones as a past. Because, as somebody passes, we kind of lose what it's like to hear their voice, kind
right,
of their
right,
laughter. Memories kind of start becoming blurry, right? So the idea was to be able to catalog those, because we all have pictures in our phones and all that, but more of a general location. So, like, if let's say Rick and we met at Fire Station 3, I remember you coming up there to get some fire prevention stuff,
yep, yep.
and I wanted to leave a memory. I would leave a memory at Fire Station 3, the location, and as you drive past, Brad left a memory for Rick. This is where we first met, so that you'd actually be in front of that memory
Oh, that's cool.
and be able to hear. I would leave a story saying, "Hey, Rick, this is where we."
And by the way, I really appreciated you letting us use those puppets for that show. That was our first big fire prevention show, and it was a huge
Yeah,
success. Kids
yeah.
absolutely
Ah, they
loved it.
love it. Yeah,
Um, that was the one and only.
yeah,
I'll just leave it at that. But it was awesome.
yeah,
That one was just
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
So
Kids
yeah.
love that
Oh
stuff.
man, it
Yeah,
was. It was.
yeah,
And I was so nervous, and I didn't know if I'd get the buy-in. And
yeah,
this is a whole different podcast too. But I
yeah,
didn't know if I'd. But everybody was just phenomenal
yeah,
with it. We had a couple that kind of was like,
yeah,
but
yeah,
the rest of them, man, just
yeah.
and the kids just
They love
absolutely
it.
love it.
Yeah,
Yeah. But
uh,
yeah, that's really cool
yeah.
how you could just
So
create.
that
I'm
one's
just
actually kind of
amazed.
shelved right now because I'm
Okay.
trying to re kind of format that one. So then I actually did recently some background acting for 911 Nashville.
Yeah.
Funny enough, just kind of something on a whim. They were looking for firefighters at the time, and ended up becoming kind of a reoccurring firefighter on there a little bit. I haven't been able to do it as much because it's hard to get down to Nashville on a regular basis.
Right. Right.
Background acting doesn't pay a whole lot if you're
Right. Yeah.
familiar with it.
Yeah.
So it's hard to get down there. But anyways, the casting process is kind of just a pain in my opinion, and maybe casting agents may feel a little bit differently, but they rely heavily on social media. They email you a lot back and forth. They all want the same thing. They want your headshot, your whole stats of what you wear, etc. There are some casting website or apps out there, but they
So I know I had one reach out to me. It's been probably 2 or 3 years ago, maybe a little longer, and done a Zoom interview, like just, and they're like, okay, this is what I want you to do. Sent me a
Yep.
script, did this, and this. And they're like, dude, you know, can you come to Georgia? Can you come to
Yeah.
Atlanta? I'm like, yeah, you know, whatever. They're like, okay, before you come, I need $500.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, they're like, well, this is for this, and this,
Yeah.
and maybe it's normal.
Yeah.
I don't. It was a casting agency,
Yeah.
right?
And that may be it.
And I was like, I'm not paying
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I've
said,
heard.
no, you're going to give me five. You know,
Yeah.
so I was like, I'm not doing
Yeah.
this. You know,
I've heard of that. This is not. This is not the what I went through was Jenny Allison casting in Nashville. She's on Facebook if you want to look. They're actually looking for background actors for Scarpetto, something like that. But anyways, you just submit to her, and then she may email you, she may not. You don't know where you stand
right?
in the process. So
Yeah,
that was kind of one of my like pain points, if you will. So you just kind of, as a from my perspective, I just try to find pain points and friction, right?
yep,
So I ended up developing an app called Cast IQ that kind of allows them to easily, find the background actors. They can, and it filters them and gives them a rank or a score. I'm sorry, a confidence score that this person matches your what you're
qualifications.
looking
Yeah.
for. So all their stuff's already there, and then you just invite them to whatever project and then you're able to communicate. The actor is able to see kind of where they're at in the process, and be able to say, okay, this one's not going to work out for me. They found whatever roles.
Right.
Just automating that whole process versus I have to go find right now. Just go through all social medias and just try to find opportunities. It's kind of all over the place.
Yeah, and that eliminates it. That kind of
That
just puts
eliminates,
everything.
puts it all in one place. And I don't know. I don't know if it's because these are just smaller agencies and they just don't have that process yet, or what.
Well, it's kind of that kind of reminds me of, and I'm not name dropping, but one of my sponsors, the Fat Boy app.
Yep.
You know, they're that local mom and
Sure.
pop, right?
Yep.
Anybody can get on the big search engines and find all your chain restaurants and a
Sure.
few
Yeah.
local
Yeah.
places. But they get out
They're
here,
putting it all in
dude.
one
They
place.
are boots on the
Yeah.
ground, going to the all over the place, going to these restaurants, these little hidden places that
Yeah.
you wouldn't know about
Yeah.
that don't have the money to advertise
Yeah.
big. Now, obviously, social media has been
Yeah.
great for a lot of them
Yeah.
because it's free now.
Yeah.
But they've put everything, they're building it and putting everything in one
Yeah.
place, and that's kind of what
That was the whole
hey,
goal. Yeah.
yeah. So that's
Well,
really
the
cool.
thing is, you're fighting algorithms, right? You're fighting
They're
Facebook.
so
So if you don't know about Rick White's podcast, you'll probably never come
see it,
across it, right? And so you're just hoping that somebody shares your story.
yeah.
And
I think it's like a 5% chance is what I read the other day about, because I've been trying to figure out how to promote myself
sure,
more, right?
yeah,
Um, one, I need to build a website,
sure,
and this cat's not going to build a website. I'm gonna have
yeah,
to have somebody build a
yeah.
website.
I might know a guy.
I may have to talk to this one guy. Yeah, yeah. But I mean, and that's what it is a lot of people, and I'm in a bunch of groups of just different content
Yeah,
creators and
yeah,
podcasters, and so many people I see every day are worried about their downloads and this and this. And I guess if you really want to grow and become a Sean Ryan or a
yeah,
Theo Vaughn or
yeah,
Joe Rogan,
sure,
then yeah, I didn't even know where to find my analytics because I
yeah,
didn't care. I
sure.
just enjoy
Yeah,
talking to
just
people.
enjoy doing
Now,
it.
don't get me wrong. If it blows up and
Yeah,
I can do this on a full time basis,
yeah,
bub, it's game on.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, so yeah, I mean, I need to holler at a guy about a website. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so you're building the Casting IQ app.
Yeah, so that was the first one I think I really kind of started putting out and just
Now, are
trying to
these available on like iOS,
cast.
Android? How,
So
how do you find them, or
these
how do
are
you?
web applications. So
Okay,
right now they're just web because the thing about you can do apps on phones and stuff, but you can what most people don't understand is you can actually do what's called a progressive web app that you can create the icon on your phone just like any other app. You don't have to go through the Google store and app because they have a lot. Apple especially has a lot of restrictions you have to and criteria you have to meet to
okay,
get to the Apple store. They are actually different languages as far as building that. So I kind of look at it as validating my product or market. So I will build the web application first. If that takes off, great, and then we'll look at doing if it's necessary, do the
Well, and
actual
that's, you
app.
say necessary, and a lot of things aren't. Mobile's not
Hey, you're
necessary.
getting the same information
Yeah.
whether you look it on a browser or if you're basically creating
And
those.
if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but you're talking about you can create an icon on your phone where you can click it, and what it will do is it'll open up and take you straight to that
Straight to
website.
it. Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
and there's a lot of apps that do that.
Yeah,
I've
absolutely.
noticed. A lot of
Yeah,
the apps that I use are literally just
yeah,
web-based apps with an icon. I guess
yeah,
is what it would be.
yeah,
Uh, some don't even have mobile features,
yeah.
but yeah.
You'll see a lot. From what I've read, a lot of companies are moving away because, well, for one, like Apple is very proprietary. They want a piece of whatever you're getting,
Okay,
so they're going to take a percentage, and you'll see, less profit, if you will.
I got you. I got you. So after the casting IQ, what?
Yeah. So after that, I believe my next app was it's called Orca One. That's actually a dive command. So I was a public safety diver for the Henderson Fire Department, um, and it's a dive like command management system. So um, there's a lot that goes into public safety diving. It's not really tied into. So there's software that a lot of fire departments have that's like Firehouse and Active 911,
Yeah,
etc.
yeah.
But they don't plan for dive operations. Um, so it will to whenever you go on a mission. So we got called a lot to a lot of counties, a lot of external like Muhlenberg County to
Right,
go dive for them
for mutual aid.
for mutual aid,
Yeah.
and it will tell you like it'll help manage your divers, be able because there is like Rick's had two dives at 100 foot or whatever. He may not be able to dive the next dive, so it'll kind of help manage where that person can dive because there's some safety risk for a person that's had multiple dives. It'll help manage your equipment. It'll you can drop pins and say here's HFD dove here, Muhlenberg County dove here, and kind of see a visual of all that. Because at our department, and it may be different now, but it was all on paper. Like hey, Rick, I need you to do a stopwatch, and you're going to time my diver,
Right.
and have another guy writing down whatever depth they were at, and so it was all on paper. The idea, I mean, there's so much technology available. We should be reducing
Well,
paper.
every service in the United States, in my opinion, should not have to pick up a pen and paper
I
if they did.
shouldn't.
You know what I mean?
There's no
There's
reason.
not. We, like you said, we have so many different pieces of technology, whether it's the tools itself,
Yeah,
or those apps
yeah.
like you were talking about. Um,
So that's my whole goal is try to educate businesses and whatever entity it is that um, if you are still using Excel spreadsheets and
no, don't get me wrong. For a backup to have, I
yes,
mean
a
that's
hundred percent
it's necessary, right?
necessary.
Because
Yeah,
technology
yeah,
fails.
yeah,
So,
100%.
but it doesn't feel like it as
Yeah,
much as it used to. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
So yeah, like this morning, I went and filled out two packets full of paper for my son for an activity, and it's like, why am I like? There's no reason for it. Like
you,
there's
you
so
can go home and
much.
build an app for that.
Yeah, I can build an app for that and reduce half the time I'm here.
Yeah. How long does it take you to build one of these apps? Like, I
It
guess
just
it depends on the
it
details you put
depends
in.
on the complexity of it. You can't just say, "Hey, I'm going to build a I don't know a podcast app." Um, you have to kind of plan it, just like building a house or whatever. You
Okay.
kind of have to start getting a blueprint together, getting specifications, and then going like you and I would talk and go, okay, is that what do you want first? Kind of start prioritizing, and then we'll plan for these next phases. Just like we'll get the foundation first, and then we'll start putting the walls, and then roof, so on and so
Gotcha.
forth. Um, because a lot of people's like, I just want it now, all of it,
Yeah.
sorry, and
That's
and it kind of spirals out of control
yeah.
because if we're not focused, then you just get this big mess and it's not user friendly and people just aren't going to use it right.
I think I've got tattoos and stuff. I've always been the type of person that this is your specialty.
Yeah.
What do you think is,
Yeah.
not like this is okay, this is what I need.
Yeah.
I need X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
You create that
Yeah.
the best way you know
Sure.
how as an
Yeah.
artist. I mean, and
Yeah.
that's how I look at things. It's like, electricians,
Yeah.
artists.
Yeah.
To me, they're artists because I'm telling you right now, plumbers, man, I can't even hardly crawl underneath
I
my
can't
house.
stand
I
water
hate it.
leaking. Yeah.
I hate crawling underneath
Yeah.
houses. Hate getting in attics.
Yeah.
But you go and you watch a plumber or an electrician, a good plumber or a good electrician, and it's so neat. And of course, they got codes to go by. But I know some that like Joe Brown.
Yeah.
He just opened up his own. I think it's called Ace Electric or
Yeah.
whatever. But just to look at his work, how meticulous
Yeah.
they are,
Yeah.
and it's the same way. It's just building an app or a website. There's an art to it,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and I've always felt like if I'm there are things that I need. So here's the list of grocery shopping, right?
Sure.
Ingredients.
Yeah.
Here's my ingredients. Help me out.
Yeah.
That's kind of and just give them free range
Yeah.
on, and then we can work out the
Yeah.
okay. I don't really care for this. Let's all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I hear it all the time. Well, two parts. That one, you're just talking about just being meticulous and taking their time and doing it right. Um, I think that's a lost art for some. Some just are there just to do the job and get the money, right? And then you have people that are prideful in the work they have and have ownership in it and just want to make it like, man.
Well, it's like building this podcast. I have so many, and I can show you message after message of in these podcast groups. There's these podcast promoters. Every one of them's from overseas.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, for X amount of dollars, I can get you organic followers and whatever.
Yes.
Here's a free
Yeah.
trial. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, because it's not organic. I
Yeah.
mean, if you can get 2,500 followers in
Yeah.
less than 24 hours, that's not organic,
Sure.
And I don't want that. I want actual people that enjoy to listen.
Sure.
And if that's 452 people, that's fine.
Yeah.
Or if it's 1.1 million, well, that's great.
Sure.
But I want it organically. I want people to come to my channel and my page and be like, oh man, who's he got on today?
Yeah.
What story is he talking about today? And the same thing with your apps. I mean, obviously you want people to be like, oh man, this is Brad's app. Check this out, and just kind of build from that.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely. And you'll find to kind of go back, you'll find people that won't charge. Like the thing about it, people love low cost, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even in a business or whatever. So there are people out there that will work for $15 an hour doing software development. You're going to get $15 worth an hour software development versus what I may charge, right? And it's hard for me to compete and get people to understand the difference. I get stories all the time. Hey, I had this guy. He hardly communicated with me. He's left me in a mess. Please help me. And they call me after the fact. Well, it costs them more money for me to go back and fix their problems. So that's hard to compete with.
Yeah. One thing that Matthew McConaughey, if you've ever not read his book called Green Lights, you need to read it.
Yeah.
And he don't support me. I wish he would, but he talks about when he's leaving college to go into the film industry. He calls to get his dad's validation, and he was like, I don't know how this is going to go. But his dad literally said, don't half-ass it.
Yeah.
And to me, that's kind of like the same thing.
Yeah.
You pay somebody $8 or $9, $10, $15 for something that normally costs a lot more. The quality's not going to be the same.
Yeah.
It's going to be. Actually, was looking at some website builders, and it was like something that come out of 2005.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, that's why it's $52. Whatever. And I know there's a lot that goes in. We'll get back on that. Building the app, how long does it usually take to pick out one? And we're going to get into the newest one you're starting to do because I'm kind of intrigued with that one.
Yeah. It kind of varies on complexity. If you're just looking for a landing page, just a standard website, you can have that done within 2-3 days, maybe a week. It just kind of depending on what you are looking for to have. There's several components about it, not just the visual part. You have to think about what they call the back end. So if I'm
Mm-hmm.
storing any data, you have to think about SEO, which is how people find you in Google. And then now you're up against what they call AEO, which is how AI finds you, because a lot of people are talking to ChatGPT or whatever, and it'll reference stuff from the web. Um, so there's a lot to go into that. More of, like, say, Orca One, which is a pretty complex website. I mean, it can take me 2 to 3 months, just depending. But you're talking like technology now, so just kind of go technology. So the platform that I did use when I first started, you're looking at a year, 2 years of building. Now I'm able to do it in 2 to 3 months.
Oh wow. Yeah.
And that goes a lot into. There's a lot of debate as far as like the quality of code, but um, a person that understands like the process and systems can really kind of make a good
We
quality
you,
product.
you talk about being good at math, and everybody's like, "Oh, math is just formulas. Follow the formula." Man, following a formula, put a blindfold on me,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
because I've
yeah,
always struggled with math, and
yeah,
and I know people that can be like, "Oh, that's easy. This is," I'm
yeah,
like, how?
yeah,
You know, medical math.
yeah,
Medical math was
sure,
always tough for me. It's
yeah,
simple.
yeah,
Everybody's like, "Oh, it's simple. It's just
yeah,
formulas."
yeah,
Well, for some ADHD doesn't help, and I
sure,
know I say I talk about that a lot, but I never really understood. I'm like, now I get it.
yeah,
Like I have to really sit down and focus on something,
yeah,
and it has to be really interesting
yeah,
for me to see it through, right?
100%, yeah,
Um, and talking to people is one of my favorite things to do
yeah.
now. I get ahead of myself sometimes, and I interrupt a lot, right? Because I get excited. But I found that this has kind of helped with that. It's kind of calmed me down,
Sure.
doing the podcast and stuff. But finishing something is went from starting this podcast. I would leave things undone.
Yeah,
Now I can
yeah,
find
yeah,
that consistency,
yeah,
and I'm talking about that because consistency on that kind of stuff. How important is that on building these apps or these web pages and stuff?
yeah. For one, being able to kind of lay out a plan, right, and being able to follow that through. Um, if so, they have what one of the biggest frustrations as a software developer was what they call context switching. So we may be, and just kind of give reference, we're in this podcast, but let's take a 30-minute break to go, I don't know, build a building outside or whatever, and then come back. We'll forget what we talked about, or it
Right,
may not be as fluent as we
right.
talked about. That's I would say, a big hurdle for a lot of software developers, being able to stay in the moment, kind of following that 1, 2, 3
Yeah.
step and not getting
It's kind of like the
changing.
podcast. I'll do podcasts, and I'll have somebody on for one reason, and we'll go completely on a tangent.
Yeah,
But and I don't do a lot of editing
yeah,
out because
yeah,
I want it raw and real.
sure, yeah,
I'll edit it out like if we have to, like
yeah,
earlier the dog, I
yeah,
had to get the dog put
yeah,
up, but stuff like that. But if I had you on for X and we start talking about, I'm gonna leave it
yeah,
because it's real.
yeah,
So I can understand where that plays a big part in it because you wouldn't want me as
yeah.
an assistant.
Well,
I'm just telling you because I
yeah,
would
it
be so
becomes a little
lost.
messy, right?
Yeah,
It's not as
yeah,
fluent. It's not a, like I said, you start forgetting details. Man, what was I working on, 2 minutes ago? I can't quite remember, because I may have had a thought of how to fix an issue,
gotcha.
and uh, it might have been the right it, but then if I get pulled away to do something, or I go off to work on something else and then come back, I may not remember that solution. So it's so important to be able to follow your roadmap and write that roadmap out, and what kind of leave a breadcrumb of trails if you do get pulled off, to kind of come back and stay
Do
on
you
target.
have do you have a way to track how much your applications are being used?
Yeah, so there's analytics. You can type pretty much Google Analytics, or some. There's actually a couple of like websites or platforms to deploy your website or application. So they have kind of built-in analytics,
Okay.
almost a little bit like Facebook.
What is your most used right now?
It's funny enough. So I have just recently launched it's called neighborlearning.com. Um, so I homeschool my son now for the second time, and I launched this to kind of help with in-person learning for homeschool people. Not necessarily homeschool specific, but that was the reasoning behind it. Um, I think one of the biggest benefits of homeschool is to be able to have teach life skills because I think they're going to become more and more important in the future.
Yeah.
Um, and getting people have so much knowledge, right? So much, and they have passions such as like podcasting, for instance. And if you had a gift of teaching people, which I know
Mm-hmm.
you know dealt with elementary kids, but if you wanted to teach a kid that wanted to learn podcasting, you could get on this platform and say, "Hey, I'm willing to teach." If you want to make it volunteer, you could, or if you wanted some money out of it. But an in-person, hands-on skills for the
Experience.
person, for the especially like
Okay.
ADHD people that need that hands-on physical.
Right.
You can't get that in
No.
high school or whatever. You're
No.
not going to learn podcasting. We kind of relegate or regulate like welding or whatever to senior, you know, older kids in
Right. Right.
elementary. There's nothing that says my 13-year-old son can't
Exactly.
learn how to
Yeah.
weld, how to farm. Those skills are so valuable,
And they're important.
important
I mean,
to our,
super important.
and I don't think we realize like how much knowledge we're keeping from passing on to the next generation.
Have you? And you've dealt with the youth quite a bit too, and it blows my mind to have kids 13, 14, all the way up to 18, 25, come in and just be talking about something and be like, what is that?
Yeah,
I'm like, what?
yeah,
Like, to me, I'm like, everybody should know it, right?
sure,
But they don't.
yeah,
And it's like a life skill that people should know.
yeah,
I would love the art of hauling hay to come back.
yeah, absolutely. That's what. So yeah,
You know what I mean? It's
it
like
just builds character.
farmers have gone to almost completely round bales
Yeah,
now because they can't pay. People don't want to come out here and do the job.
sure,
I make good money hauling hay,
yeah,
man. First time I'll never forget, wide open field. I'm talking wide open field. I'm in this big freaking grain truck with a
yeah,
flatbed on it, and I get hung up in the middle of this
yeah,
field. I find the only wet spot in this field, middle of summer, and
yeah,
I sink it.
yeah,
But just those experiences and stuff that you learn, and getting paid a nickel a bale,
yeah.
25 cents a bale, and
Well, you're more likely to remember the hard
yeah.
parts and
And
have more pride in that later
we were
on
talking
growing
about
up.
that at work, and they were like, "What's hauling hay?
Yeah,
What y'all did? What?
yeah,
And I'm just like, man, I wish I could find a group and just put a group together
yeah,
and show them,
yeah,
hey, guys, start advertising. This is
sure.
this is my crew. This is what they'll do. And
Yeah,
just let them have all the money.
yeah,
Just get them that experience, and
yeah.
because you can make some money hauling. I bet you can make more money now hauling hay than you ever
You
could.
probably could.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, so important life skills and this app. So is the app done up and running?
The app is up and running, and it's pretty basic right now because I'm looking for skills for myself, for my son, to get him around. I have three, I call them mentors, three people in the area that are willing to teach whatever skill they have, and then you can also post requests. So like,
Okay.
if I'm looking for welding, so I actually have it on there. Um, I can post a request for a skill. That way we can kind of identify, hey, we have real big interest in podcasting. I need to find a mentor. And then I can kind of advertise, hey, if anybody knows a podcaster, we have 10 people that are looking for a podcaster willing to teach us in person.
That's really cool.
Um,
I'm definitely gonna check that out. Is there like a subscription base to
No,
it, or
it's
it's just
completely free right now. I'm doing my best to completely free. I am kind of putting like affiliate links and stuff like that. If you want to try to help support that,
yeah?
there's partnership opportunities on there as well. If you want to contribute in a larger means, and
Let's say if um, somebody who lives in Nevada,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
gets on this app,
yeah,
is right now, is it just local people? How can people in other states and far off, right? Because
yeah,
they're not going to fly or
yeah, yeah.
drive to
No,
Kentucky,
yeah,
right? So how can they benefit from this?
yeah. No, you can put it for whatever state or city, wherever your location is. They can market it for themselves if if they want to share the platform and say, "Hey, I'm on here. Come find me." So it's not just for Henderson,
Okay,
Evansville type area. Um, that's kind of what I'm marketing. I'm just trying to see if it's something that people are interested in. I've had a few people on Facebook say they love it or whatever, but um, it's brand new, so I haven't.
right.
I'm not getting a whole lot of traction. Again, I'm going against Facebook's algorithm,
Yeah,
and it's kind
absolutely.
of like one of those things that just kind of has to build up over time. But I just it kind of goes back. So you were asking about the fire service earlier in culture change. I mean, some guys would come in there and never touched a chainsaw before,
Right.
so never started one, didn't
Yeah.
know have a clue how to start one. Um, those skills, man, they're just hands on. We're just not passing it around.
Yeah. I think that's where the education system failed kids. It's taking a lot of those technical life skills out, you know.
Well, we're up against phones. We're up
Yeah.
against
Man,
the
I
PlayStation.
remember making shorts in home ec, man.
Yeah,
You know, cooking food, learning how
yeah,
to cook, making
yeah,
shorts, sewed a pair of shorts.
yeah,
I love them shorts too.
yeah,
They were a little janky, but I loved them.
yeah,
And I enjoyed that kind of stuff. You
yeah,
know, it was a class that everybody had to take. Home
yeah.
ec was a class
Home
everybody
ec.
had to
Yeah,
take. You know, and then I did woodworking, carpentry.
yep.
Um, Never did any welding. I kind of did that after I got out of school. Learned how
Sure.
to. I mean, I can't really weld, but I can stick stuff
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
You know, but things like that. It was just it's gone. Most of it's
Most
gone,
of it's gone. Yeah,
and homeschooling seems to be the only place you can get it. And I've learned more today about homeschooling. I didn't really realize that you can take field trips and count it, and that makes so much sense,
yeah,
right? I mean, schools take field trips, but you guys
yeah. We do it.
can roll out any
Yeah,
day of the week and be
yeah,
as gone as long
yeah.
as you
Like I
want
said,
to.
we went to Grand Canyon to see it. We went to West Virginia to be in a movie because he was getting interested in acting. So
Oh, that's cool.
we went and we had a couple of scenes with Kevin Sorbo.
Oh yeah, I
If
know
you're old
Kevin
enough
Sorbo.
to
Yeah,
know who he is,
yeah,
um, yeah. So I mean, just those experience, you're gonna get more value, in my opinion. And again, great. There's a lot of great teachers, but
yeah,
I promise my son will remember those memories
yeah. That's really
of
cool.
being able to go to those places.
So the app for the homeschooling is called
Neighborlearning.com.
neighborlearning.com.
Yeah,
So we'll make sure we definitely
yeah,
we'll definitely clip some of
yeah,
this because that's important.
yeah.
All right.
So yeah, keep moving. So next app, I have two more. So one
Okay.
is AIWatchtower.io.
Okay.
Um, that is monitoring the effects of AI on our economy and workforce. That's the goal of it. It's a little. I'm still kind of fine tuning because there's a lot that goes into it as far as pulling economic data,
So
scanning.
how are you getting it, all that information, that data?
So surprisingly, a lot of platforms and stuff have what they call APIs.
Okay.
So it's
Right.
like
Right.
basically I can call their system and say, "Hey, I want this data. Can you send it to me?" And it's usually a whole developing process, and you have like a what they call a key
Mm-hmm.
to get the information, and they'll send it to you. So I get data from a lot of government agencies as far as the census, as far as just economic whatever's going on.
Right.
So it's pulling that. It's kind of giving a score as like a trend of like, okay, um, right now our number of jobs out there are starting to sink or we're losing jobs, and it's kind of tracking that trend. It's also tracking kind of progression of AI as it becomes more powerful, because it has really taken off just in the 5 years that I've been in,
Yes.
5 6 years I've been in technology. Just I can't stress enough like the trend upwards that it's taking off on. So just trying to give some awareness of where we are headed. I don't think
Okay.
people realize where we are
Right.
headed. And I'm not trying to be an alarmist, but
No, I mean, I know.
I'm a very analytical person
Yeah.
and very I feel like future kind of
I mean, it's to the point to where if you're not up on AI, or eventually get up on AI, you're going to be left behind.
yes,
I mean, honestly,
yes.
it's it's
It's
it's the future. I mean, it's as cliche as it
yeah,
sounds. It's
and I'm not trying to alarm any people, but it's going to have serious impacts to our workforce if it keeps going. And these people in charge, I don't know that they have a stopping point. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
like even take for instance, I'm not trying to say good or bad, but Elon Musk was originally like saying, "Hey, we need to put guardrails in place." Well, now he's like, "I'm gonna build robots and
yeah.
everything else."
It's not regulated yet
Yeah,
very
there's
much
no
at all. Yeah,
regulation. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I agree. I think that there needs to be a point to where you can't do this.
yeah,
You know, this doesn't need to be done. Um, it's been I use it a little bit.
yeah,
I'm kind of afraid to use
yeah.
it because you read so much stuff about them. It's like I don't
Sure,
know, but so I try to stay, I don't know, enough to get by.
sure.
Um, but within the last month or so, I've just read some different things. I'm like, I think I probably need to really deep dive into
Yeah,
this stuff. And
yeah,
but me deep diving into it
yeah.
is, man, when I do something,
Oh, you can go
my
down the rabbit
ADHD,
hole.
dude,
Yeah, you can go
I'm
down the rabbit
I'm
hole
on
for
it
sure.
for
Yeah,
I'll be on it for several months
yeah,
and not do anything
yeah,
else and just and it's just crazy the amount in
yeah.
7 days I think is what that I've learned about it,
Sure.
and there's some of the secrets,
Yeah,
bad secrets,
sure.
that I'm just like, how did I come across this? Like I'm on the black web or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, it's that's crazy. Just technology blows my mind.
sure.
And people who are good at technology, and I say this in several podcasts that I've done, my very first episode, I sat down with a gentleman, had a phenomenal man. The episode was so
Sure.
interesting. So he's such an interesting person. He leaves. I'm excited to get it edited. I start playback, and there's an echo. Bah, bah, bah. I know now that I could have got that echo out,
Yeah,
but at the time, I'm like, man, what did
yeah,
I do? So I'm doing this and I'm doing this. It took me a month,
yeah,
maybe almost 2 months,
yeah.
to realize that I had one little thing plugged in the wrong place, and I could have.
Yeah,
But with AI, I could have saved
yeah,
my podcast,
yeah,
and I have not been able to get him back in here yet because
yeah.
he's so busy. But yeah, so it's just if you're not learning AI or just something about
You
you're gonna
just
get left
you at
behind.
least need to be aware. At
Yeah,
least need to be aware of what capability because it's making its way into everything, right? I mean,
yeah,
I use it daily.
yeah.
I would consider myself a pretty heavy user of it.
I've been using it a lot more in the last month, I think.
And I tell my son all the time, it's a tool. It's a
Yes.
tool. Use it as a tool, not as a crutch.
Yeah.
And I think that's where people are going to
What
fall.
what this kind of a little off the rail, but how, I know people who use it as like their own psychiatrist.
Yes. So that's one thing I think we'll see a shift on. So like social media, we've
Yeah.
seen the impacts of social. We're like the most connected but disconnected people in the
Yes.
world, right?
Right.
Now we have ChatGPT that's going to talk to us. ChatGPT is known for like being a yes man. Oh man, Rick, you're doing so awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, you're
Yeah.
doing so great, and then turn into a therapist. I introduced my son just to kind of see how he would do it, and I even noticed the difference with him. Like he was wanting to talk to it. I don't want you to it to become your best friend. I just want it to
Right.
be a tool. Like
Yeah.
you can see it pulling, because they're great to talk to. They'll continue to.
Do you think that's kind of part of a psychological warfare our government's playing on us? I mean, I love
Yeah,
conspiracies, right? I love conspiracies. I believe in Bigfoot.
I don't
It
think
is
it's.
what it
I
is.
don't know if it's.
Um,
I don't think it's our government. I think the big tech guys,
okay.
the big whoever the guys that be. If you ever watch the movie Social Dilemma,
Hmm.
uh, great documentary on just Facebook and all that, the algorithms,
Okay.
etc. A must watch.
Okay.
It's the same thing. These people are pulling for the. They say the biggest commodity is our attention, right? They want our attention. We're the product. We're paying for their service, so they want it all. That's what they're fighting for. I want
I got
ChatGPT
you.
wants all our attention, so they're just trying to one up each other. So yeah, they are looking for you to talk to it, engage with it, so that they have all your attention.
I just learned the other day that it's got a voice.
Yeah,
Like I don't know how I hit it, what I hit, but I'm just like I was asking a question to do some research on something, and then this woman just starts, "Oh yeah, absolutely, Rick," and
yeah,
I'm like, "What the?" Like I was like, "No, no," like it
yeah,
freaked me out. I
yeah,
didn't know we could talk
yeah,
to you,
yeah,
but so I was like, "That's weird."
yeah,
So then I went to another AI, kind of like Chat Gemini. I went to
yeah,
Gemini, and I was like, "Why does it do this?"
yeah,
And then it's like, "Oh, you're using
yeah,
whatever, blah blah blah," and I'm like, I had no idea. You want to talk about being
yeah.
freaked out?
Now I put a little asterisk to the whole talking to AI, because one thing I think people miss is you have to prompt it. So
Uh
prompting
huh.
is a big thing with AI.
Yeah.
You have to tell it, um, I want you to be this type of person, and I want you to focus on this. It has to have a goal, right?
Right.
You have to get kind of give it the end game, and kind of lay out the plan. Otherwise, it's just going to go with whatever,
Yeah.
wherever.
I've noticed that.
Yeah,
Like it's random if you
yeah,
don't give it those commands, those
yeah.
prompts, and
So there are people that, I know there's videos of stuff that it kind of goes off the rails, and people are like, "Oh my gosh, it's responding." It's just like everything else. It's taking the information that it knows about Rick, and it's going to compile an answer.
yeah,
It's putting all the pieces together, and it's going to feed you back whatever's going to keep you engaged in the conversation.
it's crazy. I'm
Yeah,
fascinated by it. Like I said, I'm still scared to crapless of it, but
yeah,
I'm using it more. It's been helpful on on the podcast and
yeah,
stuff, and just creating little pictures and just having fun with it. And
yeah.
but just back to
Well, that's the thing. A
just
lot of people use it for pictures,
yeah.
silly stuff or whatever, but it's a powerful
Oh
tool.
man, like I said, I've learned so much
Yeah,
lately on how to use. I am not an expert at all.
yeah,
I'm still completely an
yeah,
amateur on it. Uh, but there's probably an unlimited
yeah,
use for it,
yeah,
right? Um, so your app, your AI app, that's kind of did that transition into your newest
yeah.
app?
So then the
This is the
next,
one I'm interested
so
in
so this is
because,
yeah, this is
uh,
my kind of my baby, if
yeah,
you will. Kind of this probably challenged me the most technically, as far as like building out a process and kind of going through, and it's still a work in progress. So the next one is called Last Light AI. Um, and it is for, I don't want to, again, don't want to be alarmist, but if when we go offlining meaning there's some kind of event that wipes out our whole power grid,
right,
or where we have to kind of go back to,
being Amish,
being Amish, right?
yeah,
Um, I tend to think, at some point we're going to run into this. To what extent, I have no idea.
yeah,
That's again kind of why I try to focus on life skills, because I
yeah,
think it's going to happen. Just a matter of time, because with good AI, there's also bad AI, right?
right,
So Last Light is basically I have created a knowledge database on an SD card, again, pulling from all kinds of government data, survival, and so I've integrated AI into this SD card that you can transport to like your any laptop, any desktop. My goal is to get down to a phone, so that's kind of a bigger. But being able to access these life skills that you may not know about, how to purify water. I mean, how many people know about purifying water,
right,
right?
yeah,
If we get down, because we take for granted that water is just there. Whenever we turn on the spigot.
yeah.
Um, so giving an opportunity
And
for,
some of that water ain't purified. You can ask
yeah,
Megan
yeah,
Kirk on that. I'm
100%.
telling you. But
Um,
anyway, yeah,
so it's a knowledge base that does have AI on it, that does not require any kind of Wi-Fi, doesn't require cloud service. When all that stuff, like where are you going to get your knowledge from, and being able to take that. This phone only goes so far.
Right.
It may die 2 years, so then you have to go find another phone. So
I mean, this is movie quality stuff. Like
yeah,
I can see, like you get like somebody like I don't know, Tom Cruise or somebody like the kind of Mission Impossible.
yeah.
Okay, this is what happened. The grid's out, but I've
I,
created this
I
app,
have a library here that's
and now
going to tell me what to do.
you've got the government after you trying to get that
Sure,
card
yeah.
because they don't want you. You know, that's
Well,
pretty cool.
um,
Really, I mean, if you think about it.
it shouldn't. To me, that type of knowledge shouldn't be, because my goal is, so right now I just kind of have like the survival stuff, but
Yeah.
once we get past that initial survival, then we're going to have to start building back civilization, right? So there's a
Right.
little bit of like mechanics, construction, and then there's going to be some governance knowledge on there as well to be able to kind of hopefully build back if it goes that far.
Build
Right?
back like democracy and whatever.
So
Right.
that we're not starting from ground zero,
Yeah.
and not leaving it the knowledge to just one person, right? Because
Right.
it shouldn't be, because we lose control at that point.
Yeah.
Um, Knowledge is power, and it's valuable.
Yeah.
Again, if we don't share it, then it just
What's the
gets
point in
lost
having it?
over
Yeah.
time, right?
Yeah. Well, how far in are you on this last light?
So I have a working model on my desktop. It's a challenge. I mean, it's a challenge. So I have a working model that will find all the data. I'm still kind of building up the knowledge base part. I have a map system so that I can drop if I have a cache. If you're familiar with survival,
Mm-hmm.
if I stash away my
Some
food
food or
supply
money
or
or
whatever,
right.
I can drop a pin to where that will be located. I know I can drop a pin for water sources if I need to, and kind of help navigate, because again, some people are not as
Yeah.
not as able to navigate our country as you might think,
Right.
because we're relying on our phones again, right?
Yeah.
So I do have a working model on my desktop. I'm hoping to be able to get that down to all the way down to a mobile version. That's
That's
the
cool.
plan.
That sounds real. I mean, that's not only helpful but like so interesting.
Yeah,
It's so neat to see stuff like that just come to
yeah,
like I'm definitely going to check out some of your stuff, especially the neighbor learning.
yeah,
That sounds really cool.
yeah,
That's and I think I may know a few people that would like to get
yeah,
involved with that.
yeah.
You know.
So Last Light AI, there's actually a wait list that you can join on the
Okay.
website.
Okay.
Um, if you're interested, that kind of helps
What's
me.
the website?
Lastlightai.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty
So
cool.
you can join a wait list, and hopefully, I'm gonna say probably, hopefully another month or two, maybe I'll have at least down to where we can get down to a tablet or something. Phones are tricky because again, your iPhone is very proprietary. I don't think I'll be able to get to Apple. For one, it's an SD card, and they don't have
Right.
an SD card, a micro SD
Well,
port.
what if you took a SD card adapter reader
So I do have it. It will come. The
and
package will come with an SD
that you can put into
adapter.
your
Yeah,
phone and do
yeah,
it that way? Maybe
yeah.
there's a
So
way you can.
maybe that may be.
Maybe we shouldn't talk about it if Apple
Yeah,
hears this. They'll
yeah,
block that.
yeah,
You know.
yeah.
What I would like to do, Brad, is once you get to the point to where you launch this, I
Yeah,
want you to come back,
yeah,
and I want to do nothing but a segment on Last Light AI
yeah,
because I think that's going to be something that, especially our preppers,
yeah,
or people that are people will call them crazy if they want,
yeah,
but I think they're onto something. I
yeah,
mean, I've been talking about digging me a dang bunker somewhere,
yeah, yeah,
just because it's scary,
yeah. It is.
just the way things are happening, and you never know. I mean, I never would have thought in my adult years, I'm 46 now, and I never would have thought that we would be having states and cities losing power because they're not creating enough energy,
Sure.
because
Yeah,
it seems you don't think about these things.
yeah,
Oh, electricity is just
yeah,
endless,
yeah,
and it's really not.
yeah,
If you just stop and break it down, it's really not.
yeah,
Um, so I want you to come back. Hopefully it's sooner than later,
yeah,
but
yeah,
I want you to come back and I want to deep dive into Last Light
yeah,
AI.
yeah. Hopefully, I'll
Um,
have a working model for you.
that would be really cool
Yeah,
to see, and maybe you can even teach me some stuff too. Um, How are you worried about like other people stealing your ideas? How are you keeping them safe?
Yeah, I don't think you can really prevent it. I don't really advertise a lot about an idea that's coming up or
Hmm.
whatever, um, because my opinion that if I'm thinking of it, somebody else is also thinking. Because I see it all the time.
Right. Yeah.
It's just a race of who
Who
comes
gets
out.
there?
Yeah,
Well, and that's it's take shoes for
yeah,
example. Somebody created the first shoe.
yeah,
Somebody made it a little better.
yeah,
Next person made it better.
yeah,
Next person, and you just take something, and there's nothing wrong with taking something and making it better
yeah.
for
And
the
I think
next
that's what
person,
it's going
right?
to come to. I mean, it's just like any other business. There's several different burger joints. They all do
Yeah.
it a little bit different,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I mean, just like podcasts,
Yeah, yeah,
that you can't. There's not just one podcast. There's
yeah,
millions of podcasters out there, and everybody thought I was crazy. What are you doing that for? Everybody's doing it. Well, not everybody's
yeah.
doing it. Nobody's doing it around here, really.
Right, yeah,
It's so much fun though. But yeah, I'm intrigued with the whole fact that somebody can sit down on a computer and then within an hour or something have this working website
yeah,
and just I've never been good at tech,
yeah,
so it's always fascinated me.
yeah,
Maybe I should sit down and take the time to learn some
yeah,
because that is one thing that will keep my attention. Not a lot of things keep my attention,
yeah,
but tech is one of those things
yeah,
that I'll find myself watching videos on just
yeah,
nerding out on
yeah,
just that is so cool. How does this work? Well, you've
yeah,
got to have, it's just really neat. So definitely want you to come back in the next couple of months or however long it takes you to get your working model,
yeah,
because I think in my opinion, don't amount to anything. But I think you're really onto something
yeah.
there, especially in that like survival world mode.
Sure.
Um, I know a lot of people, preppers that I'm friends with that would probably just be like all over this.
Yeah,
So once that gets done, we can advertise far out of it and
yeah,
reach out to those
yeah.
kind of,
Absolutely.
everybody's like, Rick, you need to get a niche on your podcast. You need to fall into that one category. I never wanted to be like the
Yeah,
true crime guy. I
yeah,
never wanted to be like this guy. I feel like I'm in a niche,
yeah,
a storytelling niche.
yeah,
That's what
yeah,
I do,
yeah,
and that's kind of what I wanted you on here today for is for people to get to see you, get to know you a little bit better. Um, Probably gonna have to get your autograph because I seen you on TV a few times in the
yeah.
background. But let's talk about that experience real fast before we
Sure.
wind up.
Yeah.
Being an extra on what was it, Nashville 911?
Nashville 911. Yeah.
How was that?
Man, it's a lot of fun. I never thought I would. I mean, like I said, it was just kind of a whim. I saw it on Facebook, and I was like, I was a firefighter. I'll go do that.
Right.
And I'm also homeschooling him, so I was like, he'll think it's cool. I mean, if
Well,
Dad
yeah,
does
that's
something,
on
he might.
TV, but yeah.
And so, yeah, they ended up filling the firefighter role at the time, and they posted again for an EMT paramedic, and it was actually a higher pay. You needed a special skill. Okay.
Okay.
So I was like, that's an EMT. I can do that.
Well, yeah.
And it was so funny. I went there and I sent a picture of my wife of some production van. And it was in the middle of downtown parking lot. And she's like, are you where you're supposed to be? Because she was like, are you about to get kidnapped? I was like,
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm about to get
Yeah.
in this van that's here,
Yeah.
and we'll see where it
Get
takes me.
traffic somewhere.
Because she didn't think it was legit. I don't think any of my family thought it was legit. And it was funny. I showed up the first day and talked to this lady, and she was like, "So are you a paramedic?" I was like, "I was an EMT." She was like, "But are you a paramedic?" I was like, "I picked up people all the time." She said, "Well, don't drop my actor or whatever." And ended up going on set that night, and it was just moving a gurney in there and lift them up, put them on there, like the most basic EMT. There was no
Right.
need for are you a
Like something you
special
done every
paramedic?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Something you
and
done every day.
um, and I'm not trying to bash this person or whatever, but they have consultants on there or
Yeah.
whatever, and they were putting the neck brace on, and it was like up here on their face the first couple of times. They actually had a broken femur, and they were rolling the person onto the side of the femurs, like putting the pressure on the actual injury.
Yeah.
So it's just stuff like that, like looks good on TV, but whenever you get there, you're like, Just or when you're watching, you're like,
So I can't hardly watch those
yeah,
shows,
yeah,
right? I did watch some 911, Nashville 911, because I knew you
yeah,
were going to be on it. I wanted to see. Um, it's hard to
it
watch.
is,
Like,
yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
everything about
yeah,
being a medic or an EMT or
yeah,
I don't know everything,
yeah.
but I do know that some of this stuff,
It's just completely crazy.
and Steve Chickarota,
Yeah,
you know, Chick, he the first time I met him was at a fire school and got to kind of be a pretty good acquaintance with him.
yeah,
And that's what he talked about was like, we try to make it as real as possible.
yeah.
And it's hard
It's
sometimes. And I
hard.
get it. I
Yeah,
get it is. But there are some things that you just, if you can't fake it, you don't need to do it
yeah,
because
yeah.
it's just,
It's
no,
yeah,
that's not how it
yeah.
works.
You
I was wondering about how much of that, if they really brought in people that knew.
and that's what I was really I mean just struggling like you said
Yeah.
even being there is like where did you find this person at because
Yeah.
this is not how we
It's
go
like you
about
can
doing
pay me half of what you're
yeah
probably paying him, and I
yeah
can probably do a better
yeah
job.
and again I'm not bashing the person
No,
maybe
100%.
maybe they're up against it's kind of like teaching where they're
Yeah.
up against certain things and they want it to look a certain way um, it's very union, non-union. So as a
Okay.
background actor, you're non-union, and
Okay.
they separate those two. It's very separated.
Wow.
The union people have their
Sounds
own.
racist to me.
They,
I mean,
it's very. They have their own snacks and drinks. Those are the you get they get like a whole quality like all the good
they
stuff.
get strawberries
They
and
get the good
grapes.
stuff, and then
Y'all
you
get
come over here,
pretzels and
we get
Cheetos,
water and some
celery
generic
sticks.
chips or whatever.
Are you kidding me?
And they put you in a holding room so you don't go out, you don't get to mingle with the actors or anything. Now you do kind of cross paths with some of the
Right.
actors. Smaller groups. So I did have a couple of days where it was just like me and another guy where we were kind of specialized. Again, the one where we were putting the backboard on, and they kind of ease up on the restrictions, so you kind of go over there because you're nobody's really paying
Sneak a
attention.
strawberry every
Yeah,
now and then.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, they very much separated. They feed the union people first. You have to wait until they go through all. But it's really good food. I will say that they
Yeah.
feed you really well for lunchtime. But they let their union people go
Oh, so
first.
the union people go through first, and then they
And
collect their plates and
then
scrape it back
yeah,
off, and
yeah,
that's what you.
yeah,
No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Um,
That's crazy.
again, not complaining.
No, yeah, yeah,
But very strong union, like
yeah.
old school. I don't know. I don't. I even worked union at Coca Cola, and it wasn't like a separation like that.
Right. That's crazy. That's really
Um,
neat.
very long days. So I would spend 12, 15 hours just on set. Sometimes I wouldn't even be used. It just depended on, they would kind of go, yeah, we're going to use you three. And there may be 8 people there.
Right.
And they may pull them in. So very long days. It can be very. So one of the days was like 95, and we had turnout gear on, not the inner liners, but turnout gear. They had the cheapest boots you could find. I actually have a scar right here from where the boots were. I ended up stuffing socks down in whatever socks I brought and padding it because it was rubbing me so raw because I was sweating
Yeah.
all day. We had people ended up having to drop out because they were it just really interesting.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, just the whole imagination, and
Right.
I
Yeah.
never again I'm a very kind of creative person,
Yeah.
so it really just kind of
I think it could have been absolutely horrible casting, screenplay, but for the experience, I think it would be so
great.
cool.
I mean, it got him in there, so I was
Yeah.
able to share it with my son. A
That's
couple
really
of
cool.
episodes, it got him in there. That's how we ended up going to West Virginia because we were like, okay, we're kind of interested in this. We're gonna go check out some other acting stuff.
Yeah.
Um, just I think it brings people out of their comfort zone.
Yeah, and that's what it's all
That's
about.
kind of my whole stick is just taking yourself out of your comfort. I think there's a lot of growth in that.
Yeah. How cool was it for to be able to use that as like a school learning experience? That that was pretty cool. I mean, that seems like it would be just.
I mean, yeah,
I didn't get that experience.
yeah,
Did you
no,
get that experience in school? No,
no,
that's the coolest part. Um, So y'all went to West Virginia,
Yes, yeah. So
and
there's a Christian film company called JC Films.
mm-hmm.
We ended up you can make a donation to be on set with them and kind of a learning experience, and they
Oh,
kind
well,
of
that's cool.
teach you, you
Yeah.
know, a little bit about what it takes to be an actor and all that. Um, and you get to meet some former actors. Dean Cain is a part of that
I
kind of
love Dean Cain.
Kevin Sorbo. I can't think of There's another lady, a familiar face. But it's kind of a small Christian film company that produces quite a bit of stuff.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to be in a movie.
Yeah.
I always thought my calling was to be an
Yeah.
actor, right? Um, had an opportunity. I don't know what happened. I'm gonna throw him under the bus, but he stopped kind of reaching out to me. Was gonna be in an extra in one of his movies,
Yeah.
and I don't know what happened. I know he was looking at locations.
Yeah.
Um, we were gonna film in Indy, and then he was looking for a place
Yeah.
in Kentucky because of the tax break or whatever. Haven't heard from him in
Yeah.
a while. I need to reach out to him again because super good guy.
Yeah.
Like, and some of his work is
Yeah.
just awesome.
Yeah.
Like, just my favorite thing that he did was the bunker news back in COVID.
Oh yeah.
You could probably just search bunker news.
Yeah.
But so it was so cool, just so cool, and I'm excited because I
Yeah.
know eventually he'll be like, hey man,
Yeah.
sorry, this happened. But yeah, that's amazing. Definitely want to get you back, Brad, to
Yeah.
do the Last Light AI because I think that's really intriguing, and I wanna dive deeper into
Sure.
that, um, and do a podcast on the survival
Sure.
stuff on and why it's gonna be something important to have
Mm-hmm.
eventually.
Yeah.
They say history repeats itself. And I'm a
Yes.
firm believer in it. We see it, kind of coming around full circle every day. Is there anything you could say? I know homeschooling has been a pretty big passion now for you on why your whys of
Sure.
homeschooling, um, and your neighbor learning. That's pretty cool too.
Yeah.
And we may need to do a couple of different segments on
Yeah.
do that too because I think there's people locally that could really benefit from it. I see all the time. Hey, does anybody have connections for homeschooling or what do they use or whatever? So something like that would be very handy.
Yeah.
Um, especially for our tri-state area, if
Yeah.
nothing else.
Well, just for our youth, get them
Yeah,
away from the PlayStation, TV.
yeah. And like I say, I know some people that would probably love
Yeah.
to donate their time and have some kids come
Yeah.
and just kind of learn some
Yeah.
things. So
And it may not even be. It may just be something as simple as knitting or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It may
yeah,
not be. It's just something you're passionate about. Something you're willing to teach.
my grandma taught me how to quilt. So
Yeah.
I can.
Yeah. It's
I'm not
yeah.
as good at it now,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, and it's people are like, oh, hang on, right? Well, okay, you don't learn how to do that when you can't get any clothes.
Yeah.
And you're out
Exactly.
here,
Exactly.
trying to figure out how to sew these
Yeah.
two pieces of cloth you found together.
Yeah.
I think my shorts and home ec may have been a little cattywampus, but I made them. By George, I made them
Yeah.
myself. But yeah, man. So I appreciate you coming. I know we've kind of been all over the place, but I just kind of want to get people to just kind of get to know you on this platform. Um, really looking forward to some of your stuff,
Yeah.
especially the AI stuff. How many episodes were you on Nashville 911?
I think two of them for sure you saw me, like
Yeah.
you can actually visibly see me. And then I filmed around 9 or 10 episodes or parts of episodes. So I mean, those 15-hour days are maybe like 30-second
Yes.
parts. That's what people don't
Yeah.
realize. They may be 30 seconds on TV.
I've known people to like do that and then but like yeah man we filmed like 20 episodes but I've only been seen in two and then like a year later they pop up and,
Yeah.
and they'll just keep those I
Yeah.
guess keep that film footage and just place it in
Yeah.
for like a big crowd scene or something but yeah,
Yeah.
so that's pretty cool so you
So
never know.
I at least filmed like I said 9 or 10 days there. I think I have one more scene that will come up. Again, it's been really hard to just get down there.
Right.
It's just such a long day and a long drive home. I usually would not get home till like the next morning. A lot of time they filmed a lot at nighttime.
Yeah.
They did get renewed for a second season, so I was
cool.
kind of surprised about that.
Yeah.
So I might be on there next year.
Yeah, well, that's really cool and West Virginia movie
West Virginia movie actually changed. It's called The Fort is the name,
Okay,
and we're both in that as well, or at least pitch. I may be. He'll be more in it than I will. Um, but
that's
yeah, I
pretty
don't know
cool.
if
Are you
we'll.
excited? Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's on it. So JC Films has its own like Netflix platform.
Okay,
So it'll be on there, or I don't know if they'll release it to YouTube
so
or
you
not.
probably like search it on the Roku app or something like that.
Yeah,
It's kind of
something
one of
like
those. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But it's changed. The name changed. It's called The Fort now.
Okay, so
Yeah.
JC Films. You probably just Google that, and it'll
Yeah.
probably tell you where you
Yeah.
can watch it
Yeah.
at. So when is that going to be released? Do we know?
I don't know.
Don't
He
know.
was he whenever we were there, he was talking about it being pretty far behind on they. It's amazing the amount of movies they're putting out. But so he was like saying he was like 10 productions behind. So I don't. He
Okay,
didn't really have an
okay.
estimate of time. I know they do have just kind of point people to they have more opportunities to do that coming up. One of them I was telling him on the way down here is in Washington D.C. at a museum there. So
Oh,
they're
that's
doing like
cool.
a night of the museum type movie, and it's a whole teen like learning experience, kind of similar
That's
to what to
cool.
do. So
Yeah.
maybe if people want to check it out,
Yeah, man, your big film debut. You have to throw you like a premiere, man. See if we can rent a
but yeah,
theater
we
somewhere.
just keep. I just found it really interesting the whole process of
Yeah.
filming movies, and just I don't know if I'll be able to get into another one. I'd love to have like a
Right.
speaking just to
Yeah.
see.
Just to see. Man, you
Um,
never know.
you
It
never
just takes
know.
it's just that one time, man. That's all it
It's
takes.
challenging doing the
It is.
whole self tape submission and just trying to get into your emotions and stuff.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. It's a neat process, that's for sure. Well, man, again, coming back for the after what is it, after light?
Last light.
Last light, yeah,
Yeah,
last
last
light
light.
AI.
Yeah,
Get you back in here in the next few months to
yeah,
talk about that, do a deep dive on that.
yeah. Absolutely.
Keep me updated on when
Yeah,
his stuff comes out. I'd like
yeah,
to see that. We'll may even have him on for an experience.
yeah,
Talk about that. It don't
yeah,
have to be as long as ours, but we'll
yeah.
have you in the chair and talk about all that. Talk about homeschooling and a little bit of acting in the background. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, Brad, Frenchie does the Lids for Kids, and I always end. I stole his line, and I always end my podcast with "Y'all be good to each other."
Respect.